You can add Rodan to your pile of loot with your Monster Arts Ghidorah at Big Bad Toy Store. The link's in the description down below. Kaiju, Dragon Ball, Pokemon, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews. Hello there, collectors, it's Steven here, and I'm bringing you yet another Godzilla King of the Monsters review. It just seems like yesterday I was at G-Fest uploading the Monster Arts King Ghidorah review. Anyway, today we're going to be taking a look at NECA's first ever attempt at Rodan. That's right, one of the original Toho Big 5 kaiju. He gets a reimagining in Godzilla King of the Monsters, and NECA was able to get a hold of the actual files used in the movie to recreate Rodan on the screen and recreate him in plastic format. Now that being said, for about $23, is this going to be worth the purchase, or is that just money that is going to be offered as a sacrifice to the fire demon? Well, let's take a look to see whether or not Rodan is worth adding into your collection. Rodan here looks kind of somewhere in the middle of good and meh, whatever that fine boundary line may be. Reason being is that the sculpt it's fantastic. I mean, you can't really get much better than this. Depending on how you pose Rodan, it actually looks like this thing walked off of the screen and onto your shelf. I mean, seriously, you can't get better. Even if you have Yuji Sakai or Shinichi Wakasa, if you get them to even help sort of manipulate the sculpt to make it look nicer, and no, the sculpt-wise, this Rodan is amazing. It's perfect, if I may say so. However, the paint application, especially what was shown from the prototype, definitely drives it back a few steps. And some might be saying, what are you talking about? Well, we're going to be taking a closer look there in a minute. And then there's one overall feel for this figure that a lot of folks have been confirming, so it's not just me. The figure feels very thin, it feels very fragile, and it's made of a harder plastic material. It almost feels like this thing is going to snap at any given moment. If this should take a shelf dive, it will not survive, so do keep that in mind. Anyway, as we're taking a closer look here, you can see one of the issues that a lot of Godzilla figures have been having these days is eye placement. Yeah. A lot of folks are going to say it doesn't matter because the eyes are so small, but still, it's kind of like, come on, you've done it elsewhere. Why can't you do it here too? Anyway, overall for Rodan, he is going to have a burnt beef jerky look to him, where he's going to be having the rather dark brown shield plating all over him. And then he's going to have some red washing and dry brushing to really enhance the molten magma-like features of him ascending out of the volcano and constantly burning as he flaps his wings throughout the movie. Now, in the prototype pictures that we saw for Rodan, NECA was able to really recreate that burning effect on the end of his wings with some nice orange and yellow paint applications, whereas here, for the final product, it's just more like little blobs here and there that kind of are distracting. For the SH Monster Arts, they omitted that entirely, and to be honest, here, they probably should have just done that if they were going to do this. But, yeah. Anyway, overall, like I said, the sculpt is amazing, and I really don't think it could be done any better. But the paint definitely is a step or two back, and it's kind of depressing. It also does feel thin. Let's go with that. All right, let's talk about articulation real quick, and that's pretty much what it's going to be real quick. So we have the default head here, which is going to have essentially a ball joint connection, and we can get Rodan to look around in a decent range, you know. We can get him to look down about that far. Can he look up? No, not really, but he can look side to side, twist and turn, spin around, all that fun stuff. And then there's also a ball joint at the base of the neck, so this way you can move Rodan's head around a little bit more. Now, the wings are a bit complicated, and this is going to be due to the design down here where the wings will collide in with the body. Now, they are obviously on hinge joints, so this way we can get Rodan to flap his wings, right? But when it comes to pulling his wings up, it's only about that far. You see, for the sculpt here for the shoulders, they did sculpt it so this way it is blocked and Rodan cannot move his wings up any farther. However, there are also swivels, so this way you can spin Rodan's arms forward and backwards, and you can get different wing combinations that way. Okay? So that's pretty cool. You can get Rodan to do this. Whatever this is. he can do it. All right. Cool. Now that we got that settled. Something to keep in mind, like I said, the wings may collide into Rodan's body. Let me see if I can get you to hear it. There's that, and right there, there's another collision area. So do be careful when you are moving them around. Now, here's another issue. This portion of Rodan's wing on both sides is on a swivel. Technically, it's a hinge, but it basically works as a swivel. Now, the hands are actually on little pins, and they plug into this portion of the wing, and then this allows the wing to slide in and out, just like that. Now, some folks have had issues where this is not inserted correctly, most specifically over here, and it likes to pop out, and it can be a pain to get back in. It can kind of be an easy fix from what some folks have told me, but just make sure you're exercising caution if you feel the connection is a bit flimsy there. Now, last up for articulation, we're going to have ball-jointed hips, which really don't do a whole lot aside from just moving the legs out of the way. And oddly enough, if you move them forward, Rodan can dangle his feet, but if you move them back, he kind of has to turn them off to the side, so that's kind of odd. Yeah. So anyway, Rodan isn't really all that articulated, but you can put him in a couple of neat poses, so this way he's not entirely static. Now we're going to go ahead and move right on over to accessories, and similar to Mothra, Rodan is going to come with a display base and a flight stand. Here it's going to be a little bit different because this one is really going to be worth the money. Here we get a nice mountaintop display with a plume of explosion destroyed goodness blast boom from Monarch Outpost 56, which, if you didn't know, it's the 56th Monarch Outpost. Yes, so here we get the mountaintop research base where Rodan was held captive. And as you can actually see on this base, NECA did actually a really nice job of not only making it look like a great miniature, but in some shots, depending on how you look at it, it kind of looks like a miniature city. So NECA, you know what your next project should be. Yeah, let's get that diorama going. Anyway, the mountaintop looks fantastic and really brings up the overall value of the figure release. However, the little plume of explosion goodness, it's a little lacking. Yes, it's made of translucent plastic, it's kind of soft, but the paint application definitely is a step back from the prototype. To be honest with you, they should have just gone with something like Tamashii did for their explosion effects, and I think that would have overall looked nicer. Maybe they could have just mixed together different kinds of translucent plastics. Yeah, the paint looks a little rough in some spots, but it does get the job done. And then, to go along with all of this, we do get one little translucent plastic rod to go in top of the explosion effect, and then all we do is we just have to make sure we're lining the explosion effect up with the pin in the mountaintop base. Then once we do that, we do have to stick the support arm into the plume effect, and then we just have to balance Rodan on the little clip on the top, and we are about good to go. That's going to be it. Along with the Monarch Outpost, we also get an alternate screaming head for Rodan. Now, this one is going to be literally an entirely alternate head part. You're going to have to pop Rodan's head off and replace it with a new one. And this one is, yeah, they didn't include a hinged jaw. It's just a full-on alternate head. Now, I kind of understand why, because putting a pin in there for the jaw to make it open and close, that would look a little awkward, but at the same time, yeah. So the paint application on this one, it's a bit hit or miss for the eyes, but we do have a fully sculpted inner mouth, including one very wicked-looking tongue. At least, it's pretty awesome. So overall for Rodan, we do get a pretty sweet setup here. The only downside is that the flight stand, it kind of leans forward a bit, which is a little concerning for stability because, like I said, I don't think Rodan's going to survive a shelf dive, so definitely keep that in mind. Now, of course, you don't need to just use that support stand. You can just have Rodan kind of crouching over that explosion or whatever you would like to do. And you know there are some other effect parts and support stands out there, and you know I got videos on them, so definitely check that out to make sure you have some backups. All right, now it's time to head on over to that size comparison where you can see exactly how big Rodan is, and he's going to be a pipsqueak. He's not going to be super huge. It's going to be to scale with the other King of the Monsters figures you probably have. Speaking of which, this is going to be the final release for the King of the Monsters action figures where you can get a screen-accurate one in the standard 6-inch scale. So here is a full shot with the Monster Arts King Ghidorah and Godzilla, and the NECA Mothra and Rodan. So if you're building your collection, here's what it's going to look like for the most accurate at the moment. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Overall, this set is actually pretty much worth it. Yeah, even if you're looking to get the Monster Arts, this is still a great way to go for about 24 bucks. You can't go wrong. Overall, the figure is very nice, albeit limited in articulation. But you know what? This display base here is significantly better than Mothra's and really does feel like an overall addition to the figure, almost as if you're getting something entirely else for the money. So Rodan's 10 bucks, the display base is another 10. You can't go wrong with this purchase. Overall, I do think that even though this isn't necessarily the strongest release from NECA in recent memory, it is a very good one. If you're a fan of Rodan, you want something that's going to be nice and affordable, and you're going to want to walk away with a good release, hey, you know what? It's not too bad. Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now, you've heard a lot from me. I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another SDR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.